Okay. So I guess my first question is very simple. Why?
You know, we literally, our first program was in March in Las Vegas, and that was right before everything kind of exploded with COVID. So we were able to sneak that program in there. And we had even started getting phone calls at that point where people were concerned, their employers weren't allowing travel. So we went ahead and we're like, we're just going to do this program. So we were able to get through that okay. And then, things really started to, there was talks of the shutdowns and all of that. So we started to look at, what are we going to do with our summer programs? Because our next program then was at the end of May. Mm. Obviously, we talked with hotels. Everybody was great to work with, and we rescheduled our summer programs to next year with no problem at all. So that left Hilton Head, which was in September, and we kind of thought, well, let's just kind of hold off on that and see what happens, in a few months. And we were in contact with the hotel, who I've got to say, I feel very lucky that we're working with a hotel that's as flexible as they are, because we did experience another hotel who just really was not willing to work with us at all, and it kind of got pretty ugly. But anyway, so we decided to move forward with Hilton Head and just see what happens. So maybe about a month or two, maybe a month and a half ago, we had so many people registered for Hilton Head, and I thought, well, I'm going to survey them and just kind of see what they're feeling, because the last thing I wanted was to move forward with the program, and then, 2 weeks before, people cancel, and then I don't have a program. So we surveyed everyone, and most everyone responded, and we asked questions, about, did they have any concerns about traveling? Were there any issues with their, employment, traveling? Were they concerned about, COVID in general and being at this meeting? And if we had to cancel the meeting as we got closer, would they be willing to do a live webinar or webcast? Right. Just to kind of, is that a plan B if we needed to go that route? So, our responses were kind of 50%, they had concerns, but they still wanted to attend the live meeting. And I think a lot of the people that are attending our meeting, they like that live education. They really don't want to do the, online thing. So we decided, we had enough people that were interested, so we're moving forward. And, we made the plans with the hotel. And like I said, our hotel has been really great to work with in terms of, our original contract. They pretty much, tossed it aside and said, let's just look at today and where we're at. And we'll, base our numbers, our minimums, our, sleeping room minimums and F&B, we'll base that off of, where we're at a month before the program. So we basically have done that, which really, it eased our burden and pressure and stress, to make sure we get enough people there to make it worthwhile for us, and for them. And, they really obviously they want us to continue with the program because, there's revenue in it for them, but, they really didn't want us to have that meeting if we weren't going to benefit from it as well. So in a kind of a side story on Hilton Head in particular, last September we had this meeting, and we had a great registration turnout for it, but literally the week before is when Hurricane Dorian came in. Mm-hmm. And that was like, every day we had people calling, is this meeting going to happen? And we didn't know what was going to happen. But, I think the Monday before we started to travel, which would have been Wednesday, we decided we had to cancel the meeting because, there were evacuation orders. The island was evacuating. So this meeting is, was a lot of the attendees that were registered for that meeting are registered for this year's meeting. So I definitely didn't want to, keep postponing a meeting unless we absolutely had to, which obviously COVID's a great reason to do it, but we still had a lot of clinicians who wanted to move forward with the meeting. Mm. So, there was really nothing telling us we shouldn't do it. I will say that we sent out recruitment pieces here. We quit recruitment altogether in March, and we didn't send anything out. I know some other companies still were recruiting for their programs, but we didn't want to seem insensitive to what was going on.
Mhm.
So we just started our recruitment here a couple months ago for Hilton Head. And, we did get a couple people respond to us saying, are you crazy? We're in a pandemic. How are you going to have a meeting?
Mhm.
And I completely understand where they're coming from, but I think there's a lot of people out there that have different viewpoints on it. And we did add the live stream option. So if you don't want to travel, or, as you get closer to the meeting, your employer's saying you can't travel because then you'll have to quarantine, they can do our live stream. So far things are working out as we're planning, and we're hoping for the best and hoping there's no hurricanes this year too.
So then roughly how many people are you anticipating, or how many people have registered at this point to actually attend in person? Just, roughly.
I didn't hear anything.
Okay. So then roughly how many people have registered at this point to attend the live component of this?
How many people registered?
For the live component.
We've got about 45 people registered right now.
Okay, that's not bad. And now, are they mostly local people, or they're actually people coming in from other place, flying in?
Typically we're recruiting to physicians all over the United States. But I do feel like with this particular program, a lot of everyone who's registered is mainly from the East Coast. We have a couple, from the middle of the states and out west, but the majority are the East Coast.
Okay. So what about your faculty?
What about the faculty?
Yeah. Are they coming? Are they going to be there in person?
Yes. We have two faculty for this program, and one of the original gentlemen, he was not able to travel for medical reasons, so we did have to find a replacement for him. But we've got someone coming out from out west, and then we have an East Coast physician that's coming as well.
Okay. All right. So then what are some of the safety precautions that you guys have in place for the meeting? How is this going to look different than a typical PCN event? So,
first of all, we've got a huge room. I mean, again, the venue's been wonderful to work with, and they were able to give us, the space that we needed to allow for the social distancing. I mean, we're literally seating people one per 6-foot table.
Mm-hmm.
And, those are going to be spaced out. If they're coming with someone, of course, they can sit with each other. But that's one of the main things is just, the size of the room for the people. And adding the live stream, which we've not done the live stream for this particular program before. We've done it for other live events, but not this 3-day destination event. So that's a new aspect for us. We've worked with the banquets on, how are we going to present the food? We serve a hot breakfast in the morning and beverage break. So, we're working with them to, they'll have a server there along with a buffet that's got like a plexiglass, which is something that's, we've never had before. But any types of things that they can have, like pre-wrapped, muffins and bagels and such, they'll have them individually wrapped. We're going to try to not, for example, ARS, we do an ARS system. So instead of having, people having to hold the audience response, controller, we're going to go to a different, and I'm not even sure what it's called, but, where you answer polling questions through a different website. So we'll just ask them to log on through their phone or their computer if they're online and answer questions that way. That way we don't have to mess with the ARS and people handling them.
Mm-hmm.
Registration, we're going to have their packets, ready just to give them. They'll check in that way so they don't have to handle anything and sign in as they come in. Of course, we're going to be following all of the hotel's guidelines and have the, hand sanitizer and all of that in place as well.
So how many members of your staff are going to be there?
I didn't hear that.
How many members of your staff are going to be there?
How many members of our staff will be at the meeting?
Yeah.
So there will be 1, 2, 3 staff and 2 faculty.
Okay. How nervous are they?
Which typically we would send a couple more, but just because this will be a smaller program than we're normally used to, we're just going to send the 3.
So how nervous are they, and how nervous are you about this?
I didn't hear that at all. Like it sounds like really garbled.
It's interesting. So how nervous are they, and how nervous are you about this? Still nothing. I might just put it in the, let's see if I can put it in the comments.
How nervous are they? How nervous are you about this? So, I'm bringing my family, my husband and my son. So, only because they were going to come last year at our canceled meeting, our rescheduled meeting. So I'm bringing them along this year. And I mean, honestly, I'm not excited about traveling by plane. And that was kind of a consideration. I mean, we spoke with our faculty and the staff about, how comfortable are you traveling to this program? And because, I mean, we definitely don't want to put anybody at risk, or if they're not comfortable doing it, we didn't want them to do it. So, I feel like with things opening up a little bit, and I feel like there's been a little bit of a shift, and people are starting to take things a little bit more seriously and, wear their masks and keep that distance. The closer we get, I mean, I'm excited about the program. I'm glad we're able to move forward with it. I know one of our faculty, he'd considered driving just to avoid, the airlines. But, it was like a 10 or 12-hour flight for him. So he had decided just, to go ahead that route. But I'm sure it's probably a little different for him because he's a physician and he's got to go back to work. And I'm not sure, if there's any issues there, if he'll have to quarantine or, I mean, they're seeing patients. So I know it's another, it's a different situation than with our staff. We wouldn't be moving forward if it wasn't to our benefit. So, I really didn't want to cancel the program when we had so many people still registered for it and they wanted to have it. Like I said, we definitely don't, I mean, safety first. I mean, we're looking at, how's it going to affect the people that attend this, and, are we doing it in the safest way we can? But at this point, we do have a benefit, or we wouldn't be moving forward with it.
Okay. All right. I think that's it. Nothing else. That should be good. Was just very curious. So I wish you the best of luck. Really, I assume your meeting in New York City is probably the other one in October, right?
Yeah, that's the one that I was referring to, that, the hotel was just a nightmare to work with. And we ended up being able to get out of the contract, not without a ding. I mean, we had to pay monetarily, but, and I mean, I get it. I try to put myself in their shoes. They're a business, they're hurting. They want to have this meeting, but especially New York City, people were canceling their previous registration like crazy. I mean, we were down to nothing. Yeah. And there was just no way that we could hold this program in that location. And it's New York City. I mean, that's a huge risk anyway.
Sure.
I mean, just monetarily, the expenses are so much higher there. So, yeah, I'm glad we were able to get out of that one, and we'll hopefully get through Hilton Head okay, and then look forward to next year and hope for the best.
Yeah. So
getting back to somewhat normal.
So then, do you have any other in-person meetings scheduled at this point?
No, we've got a couple of live, online meetings, but nothing live, and we're not planning on it. I mean, at this point, we wouldn't plan on anything new. I mean, we just this was the one meeting where there was still interest, and, the feasibility of it was still good. So we decided to see what happens.
Now, do you know of any other CME companies doing any live in-person education right now?
I heard see me companies.
Hold on.
You know what? I'm out in the country, and I'm sure it's my internet connection that is horrible.
Hold on. Hold on.
Yes, I think there's. I mean, I'm sure there's probably more, but I know of at least a couple of companies that are doing meetings, and I think at least one of them has been doing them all along.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, I know they also live stream.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I kind of made reference to that, you know, over the summer, you know, I would see recruitment pieces for different conferences, and was kind of surprised to see that. And I mean, I felt it was a little insensitive. I mean,
Yeah.
I just, you know, we're trying to get, you know, clinicians, you know, some, you know, first responders to our meetings, but yet there's a pandemic going on. And, but, you know, I really don't know, you know, how successful they were, or, you know, anything about their meetings other than I think they were still having them.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all for me, Jill. So thank you.
All right. I appreciate it.
Good luck.
Thanks. We need it.
All right. Talk to you soon. All right. Bye-bye.
Okay.